you up and will show me that you want to have a live discussion with me, please feel free to do so. We should be live now on Twitter and YouTube as well as Facebook. I know I look funny with my new glasses. Karen tells me that they look distinguished, so we'll go with that. Want to welcome everybody that's taking the time to join me here tonight. My biggest reason for wanting to do this tonight, I know we chatted a little bit last night, but today I recognize the intense, the questions that are coming at me via email and direct messages and phone calls. I feel them. I understand that things are different, and parents really want to try and understand what's real. I'm going to avoid talking about anything to do with services and things like that. My biggest thing there is I want to just answer questions if I can, and I want to talk about my discussions with college coaches, my interaction with families and what they're experiencing, good, bad, or indifferent. And I want to share some opinions. And I want parents to understand, my singular hope and focus is for parents to understand that I've been through this as a parent, and I understand the stresses, and I know what it's like to watch our children, when they're being recruited and evaluated, and I know what it's like to go through the phone call or the lack of getting a phone call as it pertained to my oldest son. So there's a lot of emotions. There's a lot of misunderstanding or misinformation. So let's try to attack some of that. I can only share with you the questions that I ask of the coaches that I interact with, and the answers that they provide to me. It's a changing landscape. It's a continuous changing landscape. So I definitely want to take some time here. I'm not going to be in a rush. I'm going to try not to ramble, but I'm not going to have a college coach with me tonight. Had two with me last night. And I really want to start off with, this August 1st time parameter. And again, I want to, for those of you that are just joining me now, I want to reemphasize, if you have a question and you're near a computer or your phone, you want to type it into the live stream on Twitter or YouTube, please do so. If you're listening to me on Twitter Spaces and you have a question that you'd like to ask me live verbally, please just request to speak. That's something I'm going to check my phone here. I'm going to look and see how many people are there. And if I see somebody that's requesting to speak, I'll stop, I'll bring you up, and you can ask me live. So let's start with the big elephant in the room. It's August 1st, and we, for the last couple of years anyway, August 1st is for the 2026s to officially begin their college recruiting process. And it's exciting, but it has a different tone this year. It has a different vibe. And that is because of the legislation that we keep hearing about and talking about. And I want to make sure that parents, and most of all student athletes, this is just when the green flag drops. It's not the checkered flag. This is just, okay, it's time for the 2026s. We are allowed to talk to you. We're allowed to communicate with you. Some coaches will do that aggressively early. Other coaches will not. It is a coach by coach, a staff by staff decision chances are, if your son is a pitcher and there's a lot of interest, they're going to get calls tonight. If they're a prolific hitter, a power hitter, or really middle of the order thunder bat, chances are they're going to get called later tonight or tomorrow morning. Congratulations. That's the start of your recruiting process. I want parents to understand, and I'm kind of between both here. I have my YouTube and I have my Twitter space feed. I want parents to understand college coaches are really, really going at a turtle pace. They are not trying to outdo anyone. They're not trying to be the first one in on anyone. They're taking their time because college baseball, the new roster cap legislation that is yet to be implemented, they have to wait for that to be voted on. I think that's the number one dynamic that parents need to understand is college coaches, much like all of us, they're waiting to see what gets passed. They're waiting to see what their school votes on, how their school votes. This will not be a conference by conference choice. This will be a school by school choice made by the presidents of each of these colleges and universities. They have a budget that they must abide by, not just an athletic budget, a school budget. They have to answer to, an executive board. They have rules. The presidents will meet, and then the baseball coaches will meet conference by conference. And then they'll begin to, okay, we're going to do 20 scholarships. Important. Title IX plays a significant role. Number two, not all schools have the same amount of varsity sports. I'll talk about Vanderbilt. My son attended Vanderbilt. They have a great baseball team. They don't have a softball team as we sit here today. They have a women's lacrosse and a women's soccer team. They do not have a men's soccer team or a men's lacrosse team. They have tennis, they have golf, they have bowling. My point is, this legislation that the NCAA has recently passed is not baseball centric. This is not just all about baseball. And so all of these schools have big boy decisions to make, and the baseball coaches are a part of that. Okay, I'm going to start off, and I encourage parents, if you have a question like Eric has, you can type it in or you can request to speak. Eric, what's the general mode of coach communication? Will our son potentially receive calls, direct messages, texts, emails if he has already received authentic camp invites or very recent follow interest on social media, futures games, etc.? Okay, so let's start there. College coaches could send anything to a rising junior as of midnight this evening, August 1st, 2024. Most coaches will call. Some coaches will email. I will tell you there will be more requests by coaches to go to camps. That is twofold. One, they want to truly see the latest version of your student athlete. If you're a student athlete and you get a request to go to a college camp, you want to have a dialogue with that college coach or coaches. What is their level of interest? What are they hoping to see if you attend their camp? You have to be a good prepared questioner of these coaches. You can't obviously attend, or most of you cannot obviously attend 3, 4, 5 camps because they're all going to be in the relatively the same time frames. You're going to know which coaches, if you get a communication, which coaches are interested and why. And of course, when a college coach is calling, they want to know about your potential level of interest. They want to know what other schools may be involved in your recruiting. So you have to be prepared with a list of questions as a student athlete to be more proactive than reactive. So if school X has followed you on social media and then they follow up with the call, have some questions pertaining to that school or university. And oh, by the way, it behooves you to know the coaches' names so that when they call you, you have an idea. Okay, this coach followed me from school X, and he is the recruiting coordinator, the pitching coach, or the head coach, and so that you can talk educatedly. Thank you, Eric, for that question. I would also want you to understand emails will go out, emails that your student athlete should respond. Parents, avoid responding to emails on behalf of your student athlete. Don't do it. I know that you may feel that he's not going to get his point across, your son, but I promise you, you can double check it before he hits the send button, but please make sure your student athlete is writing and sending to the right coach, referring to the right coach, right school. Ask questions that you want answers to. The number one thing for parents to understand is none of these college coaches can answer anything pertaining to the scholarships yet. They can say they have a need as a catcher, or an outfielder, a pitcher, an infielder, but they're not going to have any concrete answers as to how many scholarships they're going to have, how many full scholarships they're going to have, when the roster caps are going to take place. Roster cap, 34. No more red shirts, no more gray shirts, for those of you that know what gray shirts are. No more expanded fall rosters. These are not what I would consider to be positives in the minds of the vast majority of college coaches, but that is what is on deck and in store. It is coming to a college program at the Division I level. The next thing I want all parents to understand, you have no control over who calls and who does not call, meaning you could get a call from all levels of NCAA coaches this evening, Division III, Division II. Possibly you could get a call tonight from a JUCO coach. Number one takeaway there is be respectful. Understand that all coaches of college baseball have a job to do. And you might be disappointed because you're not getting the call from the, I don't know, school that X that you feel that you aspire to play at. But if a coach has taken the time to contact you as a student athlete, they have interest, they have seen you, or they have evaluated you to some degree, and they want to continue to follow you. Have the common courtesy. If you're not interested in a school, it's okay to say it. It might not have your academic area of interest. It might not be geographically desirable. It might not fit what your skill set. Maybe you're a right-hand hitting catcher and that school that's contacting you has 4 catches ahead of you. It might not be a fit. Communicate that to the college coach and say, thank you, but at this time, this school is not currently on my list. Again, I want to encourage parents, if you have a question, just type it or request to speak. Now, I also want to discuss August 1st is just the first communication, the first of many. You're not going to be asked to commit to a school and be given 24 to 48 hours to make a decision. And if that were to happen, if some school said we only have this amount of money, it's going to be more for a 25 than a 26. College coaches do not know what the future holds for the 25 class, let alone the 26 class. I very, very rarely doubt that a college coach is going to put a time stamp on a scholarship opportunity unless your son has already communicated via a camp or something along those lines. And if they have been to a camp and there's been a discussion and there's a mutual agreed interest, that could happen, but it's going to be the exception and not the norm. I have a question that just came in, and I want to address it first and foremost before I address your question, Nolan, pertaining to college camps. College camps are now the threshold that college coaches have to independently evaluate student athletes. The days of the showcase circuits and things of the tournaments, if you're a parent, you know this to be accurate. Not as many college coaches have been as active at showcases around the country. So the camps allow the staff in its entirety to see a student athlete instead of maybe one coach identifying a prospective student athlete. So the role that the camp plays for a college coaching staff is for everyone to give their opinion on a student athlete. The only camps that I suggest that you as a family or student athlete attend are schools that fit your skill set. And that takes a lot of pride to look in the mirror and say, I believe I have the ability to play at this school. I'm going to get to that in a little bit. Is it geographically desirable? Is it academically attainable? Is it academically fit my area of academic interest? And when you say, I don't know what I want to do, something in business, do some homework. Is this a school? Not only do I think I can play and be an active participant, can I help them win baseball games? Because at the end of the day, college coaches want to know how you as a student athlete are going to help their program win baseball games. The role of a college coach and staff is to put together the best roster they're capable. It is a very, very aggressive, competitive landscape. There are 303 Division I schools. There are a couple hundred Division II schools. There are approximately 370 Division III schools, approximately 1,000 colleges and universities at the NCAA and NAIA levels that are 4-year schools. You must understand that baseball is a part of your college experience. As a family, you should be seeking balance. You're not going to a school because their baseball team is the best in the country or they're the top in their conference. This is a 4-year, 5-year part of a student's life that is going to shape the next 40 to 50 years. So it's just beginning for the class of 2026. The college coaches are going to take their time. You should take your time. This is not musical chairs. When the music stops, not everybody has to run and look for a seat. You must find a proper fit for your student athlete. So I'm going to go back to Nolan. How important, if it's important at all, to be exposing yourself, your skill set on social media? I would say if you're using social media, it should be to create a snapshot of who you are today so that coaches and college programs can monitor your progression and your growth. And Nolan, specifically for those parents that are joining me tonight, I want to talk about the age group of 13 to 16. And I'm going to say something that's not going to make me very popular, but that's not going to change. There are a lot of people that don't find me very interesting anyway. If you're the parent of a 13 to 16-year-old and you find this discussion and you never hear from me again, please listen to this advice. I want to stress this to the utmost. It is of utmost importance. I am living it now. I have lived it for the last 30 years. I have student athletes that I have worked with or been asked to work with that were below average 10 through 12-year-olds that did not make a Little League All-Star game, that did not play elite competitive travel baseball. And at 13 through 15 or 16, they focused on size, on strength, on skill development, foot speed, and grades or scholar. They didn't play travel baseball. Now, that's a decision between you as a family and your student athlete. I'm not here to talk about travel baseball. I'm here to talk about if you want to get to August 1st and you want to be someone that is recruited and is sought after and has the ability to play high school and college baseball, it is all about size, strength, skill, and speed. Hear me loud, hear me clear. Every college coach I talk with, they echo and utter the same thing week in and week out. But yet, we go to showcases, we go to these tournaments, and we see athletes that are undersized, underdeveloped. Their foot speed is below average. They weigh 145 to 160 pounds. They're 6'2", and they're 16 years old. You're late to the dance. If you do want anything for your student athlete, seek out a true evaluation of your son's skill set. Get a movement screen by a physical therapist, a personal trainer within the world of athletics. Find out where you're weak, find out where you're deficient, begin to understand how to develop the body, how to get proper nutrition, daily caloric intake, sleep, hydration. That's the secret sauce. Any parents that want to know the reality of recruiting for college, because I have some questions here about the transfer portal, you're competing with, against men. You're being coached by men. Nothing personal, just business. Either be prepared to compete as a man with men, or you will be cast away. That is a stone cold fact. There's not one recruiting service of any kind that can put your son, your student athlete, in a college program if they're not strong enough, skilled enough, fast enough, strong. They need size, you need strength. So from 12 to 16, get a jump, get ahead. You're looking for a kind of a secret code, a cheat code, as they call it in the video game world. Size, strength, skill, speed. Get in front of it at 12 or 13. It can be intimidating, but I promise you it will pay dividends when you want it to pay dividends starting the sophomore year of high school baseball. Okay, a couple of questions here. Eric, is it a bad look if you don't answer a call? No, it is not. In fact, it's highly encouraged. If you don't know the number that is calling, I would allow it to go to voicemail. If you've done your homework, families that I work with, we put in to their phones the numbers of the coaches that we feel are going to be reaching out to them where there is mutual interest, so that school X or coach X is calling. If it is an unrecognized number or a area code that you don't recognize. It's okay to let it go to voicemail. It's okay not to answer the calls at 1 in the morning if your son is asleep. Parents, don't pick up the phone. For the love of goodness, don't pick up the phone. You're not being recruited. The athletes are. And you can return those calls in the morning or return the texts in the morning. What is your opinion on showcases? I know you have been to that one that occurred last month. I'm going to say this as far as showcases. When you have a showcase where head coaches are there, the ultimate head coaches are there, that is a big deal. But I will also say, you as a parent have to look your son in the eyes. Are you ready to be evaluated by head coaches at Division 1, 2, and 3 colleges? I've had parents tell me, well, I don't want him to go to a Division 3 school. Oh, really? Have you heard of Johns Hopkins? Have you heard of Amherst, Bates, Bowdoin, Tufts, MIT, Emory, Ohio Wesleyan, Hamilton, Williams? These are Division 3 schools that are the elite academic schools in the world. And if you're not ready to be evaluated by those coaches, and oh, by the way, those programs are sending players to Division 1 programs, and oh, by the way, they have players that are getting drafted. It's not the level of baseball. It's the level of skill that determines what happens for a student athlete. So if you get an invite for a showcase, you need someone to give you the thumbs up that your student athlete is ready to be evaluated by college coaches. I'm sorry, but there are people in this landscape, this business, that are in it for and they want to tell you, yes, your son is ready. Yes, he can go. Yes, he's going to be great. Yes, he's going to be ready next year. He's a junior. He's going to be a junior next year. He's been waiting on the JV team. The bottom line is the vast majority of student athletes that go to showcases are not strong enough. They're not fast enough. They're not skilled enough. Whose fault is that? Whose fault is that? If at 12 through 16, you take the time to focus instead of traveling all over for meaningless tournaments, and in all of these events that occur between the ages of 12 and 16, and you stay local and you develop the body, the mind, the skill, when these showcases the head coaches that attend these showcases, I'm Italian, I talk with my hands, I apologize. The head coaches, they're the decision makers. Head coaches want to see physically developed, physically prepared student athletes. That's what they want to see. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can somebody just give me a thumbs up if you can hear me? Okay. Can you hear me? Okay, everybody can hear me? Okay, on the feed, can you hear me? Okay, Nolan. All right. Audio is out. Can you hear me now? Scott Martin. Scott Martin, can you hear me? Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm Italian. I apologize a million times over. All right. So let's go back to this a little bit. I don't want to, I was on a roll there, and I just want to make sure that I'm really answering that question. Showcases, if you're ready, if you're skilled, go. Will the transfer portal have an effect on 26 recruiting and the new scholarship changes? Thank you, Steel City. Yes, yes, yes. Transfer portal already has and plays a significant role with regard to recruiting. Not only 26s, but 25s. Next year will be 27s. The bottom line is college recruiting is summer college baseball league heavy. High school events are lighter than they were in the past. Yes, I know that they are attended by college coaches, but college baseball recruiting is fluid with college athletes. One look in the portal, and that tells you everything you need to know. How many athletes are in the portal? What schools are recruiting from what programs? We have Division III, Division I, Division I going to Division III. Yes, know the portal. Ask about college roster opportunities when you're being recruited. Ask a coach, how active are you in the portal? Take a look. What was their retention rate? The class of 23. How many are still at that school in 2024? That is a big, big role. What do you think the new NCAA roster rules will do for high school athletes looking to play college baseball? Andrew Ryan. Thank you, Andrew Ryan. Andrew, I will tell you that the new roster legislation is going to be very fluid. As I alluded to, coaches are waiting for decisions made by not only their athletic directors, but the presidents of these colleges and universities. You could have a situation where the SEC, the Big 12, and the ACC, all schools agree that there will be full scholarship. Conferences like the Big 10, I'm just pulling random names out. Some schools could be full scholarships. Other schools can go to 20. The mid-majors, as we call them now, some schools may go to 15. Some schools may go to 12. You may have a random mid-major go to 30. Everyone is going to be voting on this as an independent university and athletic department. We must remember that the new legislation is not baseball-centric. It is athletic. All kinds of sports have different roster changes, some for the better, some make it tough on college coaches. They have to be selective. They have to get it right. Parents, it's not personal. Get a lot of parents that want to get engaged with, my son is better than that guy and this guy that's they're recruiting. You don't want to tell a college coach that they don't know what they're doing. That will be frowned upon. Allow college coaches to evaluate your student athlete with their own eyes and to get a sense of who they are, what drives them, what kind of competitiveness do they have. And you want your student athlete to be proactive, involved, engaged in their recruiting process. College coaches are not recruiting parents. They're recruiting student athletes. They evaluate parents, but they're recruiting student athletes. Understand that. Okay, so more questions. Again, if you're on the Twitter space, if you would like to ask me a question, please just hit request to talk and I will answer. Conspiracy, perfect game, just muted your mic. I think so, Jason. That could have been it. Either that or it's my Italian hands that get me all over the place. Okay, Jim Gorman. Jim, 12-year-old is a late bloomer, and I love the positive talk about focusing on athleticism. Russell Cormier, age 13, get bigger, faster, and stronger, smarter. All right, folks, I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to say it. And this is a hill I am going to die on. Parents, do you want the secret sauce? Parents, do you want the real answers? Do you want the truth? And this is where Colonel Jessup, you can't handle the truth. Here it is. The ages of 12 through 16, it has been proven time and time again. There are late bloomers. There are student athletes that gain confidence as their bodies begin to develop. As the father of two sons, I know, and I'm a guy myself, at 13, there is an awakening. Your body, we get hair, we see a muscle girls, oh my goodness, the bigger I get, the stronger I get, the faster I get, the better I get. It all begins to connect. The secret sauce, local, Junior Legion, Babe Ruth, American Legion, high school baseball. What do they all have in common? And I get this from every parent. Oh, Walt, you're always talking about Legion and Babe Ruth and Little League. I'm going to die on this hill. On my tombstone, it's going to say play youth sports, Little League, Legion, Babe Ruth. There are older kids, stronger kids, faster kids, better kids. Nobody cares if you're the best 13U player in the country. Nobody cares if you're the best 14U player in the country. Nobody cares. What they care about is, can you help us when you get to high school? So which would you rather be? The best 13, 14, and 15-year-old at 13U, 14U, 15U? Or would you like to be able to play high school baseball? And oh, by the way, at what level of baseball does anybody care when you're 12 what you're doing when you're 20? There's no college coach alive that's going to ask you, hey, what did you hit when you were 13? Nobody cares what your metrics, your vertical, your horizontal, your exit velocity. Nobody cares. Nobody cares at 13. But I promise you, if you go into a cave and you play junior little league, you play junior Legion, you play Babe Ruth, and you lift and you eat and you sleep and you get your nutrition and you focus on being stronger, more skilled, faster, more speed. When you, as a elementary school student, arrive on a high school campus, you're going to get noticed. And if you're getting noticed in high school, chances are you're going to get noticed in college. Does anybody else find it appalling that every travel program in the world talks about how many college athletes they've sent, and then they tell you that it matters where your son plays from the age of 8 through 15? That is the biggest BS in the world. Nobody cares. I have athlete after athlete after athlete, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, heck, with my own son, with me. When dinosaurs roamed the earth, I was the worst Little League player. I didn't even make a Little League team until I was 11 years old. Never made a Little League All-Star team. Never made an All-Star game. None of the people in my family were athletic, not even a little bit. But yet I was drafted out of high school and could have gone to play baseball at Arizona State. And yes, I only played 1 year of minor league baseball and I stunk. But guess what? I worked hard. I have so many young student athletes. To this day, Mason Coppins, look his name up. Never played a lot in high school. Was told he would never play in college. Was a 4-year starter at Northeastern, and he played 2 years in the Cape Cod League. I have boys now that didn't make Little League All-Stars, and now they're 15 and they're faster, they're bigger, they're stronger, they're flat out better than their peers who were All-Stars in travel baseball. Look around travel baseball at 13 and 14U. How many parents are disgruntled because their children aren't ready? End of rant. Okay, now, and I'm going to say this because I have a couple people that have touched on it. I want parents to understand two things. Game changer, any statistics, any metrics, any analytics, if you're using them as a form of measuring progression in development, kudos. But if you're using them to put into a social media profile or to call a coach and discuss with the coach about statistics of a 13 through 16-year-old, it's not going to help. It's not going to help. Don't worry about it. Don't get lost in it. What you should be lost in, daily caloric intake. How much sleep is your son getting? How many days a week is he doing sprint work? How many days a week is he playing catch? How many days a week is he focusing on self-skill development? Don't leave it for adults to tell you how good your son is. Let your son go out and get better each and every day. Junior Legion, Senior Little League, Babe Ruth, they all have one thing in common, and that is multiple ages playing with and against each other. That's the way the game is played. For those parents that say they don't want their sons to get hurt, I say this: don't worry about your sons getting hurt. They need to see the speed of the game, the size of the game. They need to see the skill of the game. You'll be doing your son a big favor if you allow your children at 12 through 15 and 16 to see what it takes, what it looks like, what it sounds like. Because when your son is a freshman in high school or a freshman in college, they don't care where you were ranked. They don't care about your exit velocity. It is game on. It is now. It is today. You better be ready to compete or get on the bus and go home. End of rant. Now, as it pertains to college recruiting, I want to begin by saying college recruiting at 9th grade and 10th grade, those days are not coming back. They are not coming back. I want parents to understand. I know what it used to be like. I know what the rankings used to be all about. But those days are done. College coaches are going to take a much longer look through a much wider lens because they can. Parents, it's nothing personal, but college coaches can now go to the portal and get a plug-and-play player. They do an NCAA scrape, or they go to Pro Radar and they look and they say, there's a third baseman, get a good defensive metric, hit third in the lineup. That's a guy I can plug in. And oh, by the way, college coaches talk to each other. So if you're a Division III coach and I'm a Division I or II coach and I say, hey, I need a third baseman, your guy's in the portal, what can you tell me? How can you, as a 16 or 17-year-old, be asked to compete with that? So understand that. So to compete against that, take your time. Get bigger, get stronger, get skilled, get faster. Don't complain. Do something about it. That's where the portal is going to be and where the portal is going to stay. There will be some tweaks, but it's not going to go away. Scott, I know that you want to ask a question. So, Scott, go ahead. I saw you turn your mute off, so now you're live. So fire away.
Thank you, sir. Really appreciate everything you're doing. Just for the kids that are taking the JUCO route, the 2024 kids, what does the D1 kind of process look like after that?
Okay, great question. Thank you for taking the time to let me rant there. But JUCO is now going to become the true, there'll be some relationships established, Division I JUCO, Division II JUCO, across the country will have rapport relationships with different programs. They'll become a developmental roster. JUCO rosters are not affected by the cap. I want to emphasize that. Junior college rosters are expansive. They're very, very big. Parents, you need to understand when you're recruited by a JUCO, there is going to be immense competition. Immense. My oldest son went to LSU Eunice, a 27-time national champion, now going from Division II JUCO to Division I JUCO. It is very, very hard to play JUCO baseball. And college Division I and Division II are going to recruit aggressively with JUCO programs. JUCO can still redshirt student athletes. Most upper level JUCO programs are a 3-year program, 2 athletic years, 1 redshirt year. Understand that. You may be asked. So JUCO and the portal are where the big boys are going to be swimming, and the high school athletes are going to have to fight to find their way through the portal and through the JUCOs. And oh, by the way, JUCO programs, they have super coaching staffs, really good coaching staff. I challenge anyone to look at Blinn or San Jacinto, Chipola, Pensacola, Indian River, LSU Eunice, Delgado. Gloucester Community College, Northern Essex Community College. These JUCOs are getting players drafted, and they're getting players signed to Division I and Division II programs. And I know that there was someone that asked me about JUCO to Division III. That's a rare. Most Division III programs are strong academic. They don't typically get the JUCO athletes, but it's JUCO baseball is highly competitive, big rosters. Sometimes there are JV teams. They will play a significant role moving forward with NCAA Division I and Division II baseball. Not to blast any college coaches. Are there any conferences that should avoid in college baseball? I don't think there's any such thing as college baseball. I always believe college coaches have a very difficult job, especially in today's world. Now we have 34-man roster caps in front of us. No college coach wants to cut a student athlete. No college coach wants to tell a potential athlete, there's no room for you here. They have to be honest. They have to be upfront. They have to be ahead or proactive. It's a business. It's not personal. I also want to let parents know that college baseball coaches, just like in any other facet of life, they're going to rip Band-Aids off. They're not going to slowly pick at them and peel. They're not trying to hurt your student athlete. Okay, I want to make sure. Did I answer that for you, Scott? And if anybody else has a question, they can hit the request to speak, or they can type a question in the box. I'm going to be wrapping up here. Did I answer that for you, Scott?
Part of it, just kind of thinking in terms of like, what does the recruiting process out of JUCO look like? How are coaches finding you? How are they calling you? What is that process?
Okay, a lot of coaches are going to have relationships with junior college coaches, but it's, again, you're almost back to square one. When you're recruiting out of a JUCO, you want your student athlete to be proactive. Reach out to college programs. Let them know who you are. Let them know you have an interest. Let them evaluate and let them do some reconnaissance on your student athlete. Let the student athlete be the lead sled dog. They are Rudolph. They got the red nose. You need to let the JUCO student athlete has leverage because they're able to be drafted at any one of the 2, possibly 3 years. They're able to transfer if they're so inclined. But you want to have a resume. College coaches want a resume. If you're at a JUCO, they don't want to know that you didn't play. They want to know, hey, I showed up every day. I practiced. I played. I was a starting third baseman. I was a backup third baseman. They want to know that you excelled in the role that you were given and that what you feel is ahead for you. Like, what is your upside? How can you help our program win games? They know that you went to a JUCO to physically develop, to get your skill sets better. So yes, recruiting as a JUCO student still requires you as a student athlete to be proactive and involved and engaged. Don't wait for people to come to you. Make sure you let it be known to your JUCO staff, to your former high school coaches, your travel ball coaches. Hey, I really have an interest in this program. And while I'm on this, there are a lot of college coaches. I know parents don't believe this, but there are a lot of college coaches that are in listening to this stream. And I want to bring up one program, because I find him to be a fascinating baseball mind. But I want to emphasize to parents and stress now more than ever, NAIA baseball. If you're not familiar with it, it's probably because you live in a part of the country. But I really believe that you need to begin to open up and look deeper into the NAIA programs, because I'm just here to tell you, and if anybody's watching the stream here, and you look down and you see Coach Dave Serrano, who's typically my partner in crime, and in partner in crime, and we do a lot of talking with a lot of college coaches. And I'm going to blow some smoke, but Coach Serrano will forget more baseball than I'll ever know for the rest of my life. He grew up in a part of the country, grew up and coached with who I consider to be the godfather of college baseball, which is George Horton. He played with and against Andy Stankiewicz, head coach at USC, Bill Masiello, now the recruiting coordinator for TCU. My point is he's been to Omaha. He's been there with Cal State Fullerton. He's been there with, coached at Tennessee. He's now a head coach because he loves coaching at Johnson University. And he coaches an NAIA school. And he took a school that had 4 wins. I think they won 4 games. And last year they won 24. And this year he's bringing in student athletes from Japan. My point of telling you that is not for you as a listener to want to go to Johnson University. It's to tell you that the world as we know it, what I call the Omaha world, which is the Power Four, which is SEC, ACC, Big 12, Big 10. The Pac-12 is kind of, I don't know if they've dissolved officially, but the Power Four, those schools are going to play a significant role with regard to Omaha. We may see schools create a new Division I AA World Series, very similar to college football. But my point is, Coach Serrano says those Power Four conferences, they don't put out a shingle that says, vacancy. They basically go out and they plug in every hole. They're more inclined now to put their team together year by year with some development. And then all the other NCAA schools, Division I, Division II, Division III, NAIA, JUCO, they're going to be looking for the development. They're going to spend their time, Reggie Christensen at Sacramento State University, Greg Mamula at Delaware, Scott Heather at Bucknell. I mean, all of these coaches, the Ivy League coaches, they know they're only going to saddle up the horses that they can ride for 4 years. My point of saying all of that, college is an experience. It is the one time in a student's life where there is physical growth, mental growth, social growth, cultural growth, moments, memories, future best men in the wedding parties, future spouses. There are so many things that go on during the college experience. Do not chase the baseball rabbit. August 1st, recruiting 2026. Some people are going to be very happy. Some people are going to be very disappointed. Some people are going to be very upset. It's the beginning of the process of learning about college. What's important to your student athlete? Who do they want to become? What mentor do they want to have in their life? A college coach is a mentor. As a college head coach, I was a landlord. I was a relationship consultant. I was a laundromat driver. I was a professor, a tutor. I did physical psychology. College coaches deal with children that are becoming adults, and there are a myriad of life events that happen between the ages of 18, 19, and 22, 23. Baseball is going to end. The baseball rabbit dies for the vast majority, and I will tell you 99% of college baseball players will never play professional baseball. High school baseball players, 400,000 of you, 50,000 play college baseball. In any one calendar year, there might be 10,000 homes that need to be plugged in. Let's call it 15,000. That is what we're working towards. That is what we were working for. We want our children to have the best possible experience. But I can tell you, I always get this wrong. This picture right here, that picture right there. It brings joy to my heart, the ultimate. But in that moment, I saw my son give up home runs and walks. I saw him walk off a mound in front of 40,000 people. I saw television viewers say how bad he was. And then a week later, I got to see him go out and really be much better. But my point is, athletes are going to have lots of obstacles, lots of challenges, lots of down moments. It is a critical. There is no such thing as this in college athletics. It is boom, 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 boom. You could be sitting, you can be playing. Know what you're chasing. Know why you're chasing it. Know what your son wants. Know what is meaningful for your student athlete. Know who to put them with. Make sure you're putting a quality mentor in your child's life. It is imperative that we know that baseball is a part of life. It is a part of college. It is not the college experience. I want you to understand, most guys that play high school baseball and that desire to play college baseball, if they don't make it in college, they look back and they know why, because they look in the mirror and they can say, I wasn't good enough. I didn't put the time in. I wasn't strong enough. And when you're in college, I promise you, if a head coach put the lineup card in front of all 34, now 34-man rosters, and said, fill out the starting lineup, the vast majority of those lineups would be pretty similar to what the college coach would pick. And I want you to understand, it's nothing personal. That college coach has to win. He knows who's talented. The athletes know who are talented. Nobody is trying to penalize your student athlete. No one is looking over, stepping over, disrespecting your student athlete. Now, I'm going to end this discussion because it's late. But I have a question. What do I think of recruiting services? I am not a recruiting service. I have never, I talk with college coaches. I get opinions from college coaches. I respect the opinions of college coaches. There is not a college coach alive that is going to pick up a phone and say, if I call them and say, I need you to take this guy because I think he's really good. Okay, well, doesn't work that way. Recruiting services, if they are informing about the process, if they are being true to you as a family, explaining to you the importance of grades, of strength, of skill, of size, of speed, and if they are telling you your son is not fast enough to play the middle infield, he runs a 7.3. There's nobody playing center field in Division I baseball that runs a 7.3. And for all the people that want to talk about horizontal and vertical and these recruiting services that want to put all this stuff, college coaches want to know two things. Can you throw strikes? Can you get outs? Period. End of story. They would like certain metrics associated with those two, but that's what they want. My bottom line is you need guidance. We need guidance as parents. What's important? What's not important? What is the reality of the college situation? Do you really care who placed students from 2005 to 2000 or to 2023 or 2022? It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. It's a whole new world. It's a whole new world, and it's not changing. It's not fair. Heck, I wish my youngest son was involved in name, image, and likeness. Oh, he would have been set for life. But, oh, by the way, I can't go backwards. Neither can you. Find somebody that can give you an honest evaluation. Find somebody that has relationships and a rapport and can do reconnaissance and be honest with you as a family and find the right fit. Find your right fit. There's a gentleman that's watching this right now, and you know who you are. I grew up with him. We were from the same hometown, and he asked me to help his son. And I helped his son. His son took an unconventional route. His son had to do a postgraduate year. And we hear all of these people talk about baseball academies and gap year and post-grad year. No, he took a legitimate postgraduate academic athletic year. He wasn't the best when he was a senior in high school. He wasn't the best athlete when he was at his postgraduate school that had a first-round draft pick by the Miami Marlins. He didn't even play his freshman year in college. He signed to go to college in June after the completion of his post-grad year graduation. In June, after he had graduated, after his season was over, I was able to talk with the help of Coach Serrano. A coach flew him down. They did a camp. He played on that team. This summer, he is a college summer all-star, dominating college summer league baseball. Dominating. Did the step, the progression. He found the right fit, around the right mentor, the right coaches. My point is, everybody's time is different. Everybody's process is different. You have to be treated on an individual basis. I wanted to get this out here tonight. I want parents to find their way to this and understand strength, size, speed, skill, grades. That's the focus. That's the focus. 12 through 16. If your son is really working on those topics every single day, and when I say size, strength, skill, oh, by the way, you can play multiple sports. Nobody's going to tell you you have to play baseball 12 months a year. Don't believe it. It's not true. People in the Dominican don't do that. And why do we want to compare ourselves to people in the Dominican? It's not an apple to an apple. Your son loves to play football. Let him play football. He loves to play soccer. Let him play soccer. Heck, if he likes to play basketball or hockey and you're worried about him taking weight off, but he loves the sport, let him play. Childhood, one time. We as adults make decisions for children that aren't even our children by trying to tell parents, hey, your son's going to miss out if he doesn't play 12 months a year. Miss out on what? Miss out on what? Here's what he's going to miss out on. He's going to look back and say, I wish I would have played with my buddies. He's going to look back and say, I didn't play college baseball and I didn't get to play basketball with my buddies. Let the children have a childhood. Let the kids play. It's going to be okay. So to wrap up, college scholarships, they're going to be changing. Every school will have their own number. That's going to be determined in some cases by the conference, in some cases, most cases by the schools. Different schools, they have different amount of athletic programs. Every school is different. NCAA Division I, NCAA Division II, NCAA Division III, NAIA Division I, NAIA Division II, four-year schools. Consider them all. Look at the complete total package of college. Have a balance. You want your student athlete to participate in all facets of college. Being a spectator is okay if you're learning, but eventually you want to get between the lines of life, in the classroom, on the diamond, on the campus. You want them to be a balanced, complete college student. Find a life mentor. Be proactive. Be proactive. And do not worry. Okay, I want to Valley Baseball Scout. NAIA seems like a very attractive option now. Redshirt freshmen can redshirt if they play 20% of the games. I don't know what those other numbers are. I will tell you, I think NAIA and in every facet is a tremendous opportunity. And I will tell you, a lot of talent going to NAIA schools. It used to be Lewis and Clark, and then it used to be like LSU Alexandria, LSU Shreveport, Lee University. But I will tell you, NAIA baseball is a tremendously talented level across all sports, not just baseball. Parents, you really need to broaden the lens. And if you broaden your lens, you will find that you will see life very, very differently, and you will react very differently. Broaden your lens, step back, Step back. Look at 40 to 50 years from now, not the next 12 months. Don't look at what you're not getting an opportunity to do. Find where you do have the opportunities. Find the opportunities specifically for your student athlete. What Division I school do you think will still have a focus on high school? Lots of schools. Like we talked to Reggie Christensen at Sacramento State. We talked to James Madison. We talked to Washington, Eddie Smith at University of Washington. The high school student isn't going to be completely forgotten. The high school athlete now has to put themselves physically and skill set comparative to the portal. It's as simple as that. It used to be we were comparing high school athlete to high school athlete. It's not the case anymore. It used to be college coaches would race to try and get what they could consider to be the projectable student athlete. They don't have to do that. They never wanted to do that. And now, as a college coach, I can step back, take a deep breath. I can evaluate. I can watch athletes develop. I can watch their bodies develop. Your body is your calling card. Your body is your calling card. When you go to showcases, the first thing that a college coach looks at is a student athlete's body. When your feet hit campus, will you or will your student athlete be able to compete with men? That's the question. It's not personal. It's a matter of if you want to be recruited by Division I, you got to be recruitable by a Division I program. You have to have the size. You have to have the strength. You have to have the speed. You have to have the skill. They don't care what you do. Here's the other part of this. I really want the AAC is absolutely like Corbin Weeks. I'm just telling you right now, there's a lot of coaches in here. NAIA baseball, for those of you that hear this, whether it's tonight or in the future, I will tell you definitively, NAIA baseball, go to a game, go to any game, and look at the talent that's between those lines. And I will tell you, on any given day, those teams can compete with teams across the country. What I want parents to understand is it is nothing personal. There's nobody that does not want your student athlete to succeed. Coaches want your student athlete to succeed. But if we look around, if you look at a maze, there's an entry into a maze and there's an exit. And our job is to figure out with pen or pencil how to navigate the maze, or if we're doing it physically in a cornfield, et cetera, we have to figure our way in and our way out. You need help to navigate your athletic maze. And what I want to tell parents is this. If you take the time to focus on the priorities early in your student athlete's process, and you really are honest, and I mean candidly honest, you should be asking, where is my student athlete deficient? Where does my student athlete need to work? What should this year's plan be? And take each plan day by day, week by week, month by month, year by year. And if somebody is advocating for you to take a gap year, a postgraduate year, there's a reason why all these postgrad academies popped up a year ago, because they knew this was imminent. They knew this landscape was coming. And they get a lot of money. The IMGs and a lot of these baseball academies, they're going to make a lot of money. But that does not guarantee that your son is going to be able to make up a decade of deficiency in 1 year to go from not strong enough to strong enough in 1 calendar year. But if you're looking at this as a way of being academically, socially, culturally, athletically prepared for college, there are postgrad opportunities that have been around for centuries that your student athlete can take advantage of. It's been going on for decades with hockey. It's been going on for decades with football. This is now happening with baseball. And I have a parent that's asking me a question specifically about American Legion. And I am going to go on record. There are parents that are on this feed tonight. Last year, and they are rising seniors, and in some cases, rising juniors. And there are 4 specific families that I am alluding to. And I will be sharing their message to me now that they've completed their Legion season. Every single one of those 4 families questioned, why are you telling us not to play travel, showcase tournaments? Why are you saying play Legion? Legion. Nobody plays Legion. Nobody scouts Legion. Nobody goes to Legion. Okay, first, all 4 families are ecstatic. And all 4 student athletes loved their Legion experience. No input from me, no checkups from me. This is just at the end of the year. I'm so happy. I had a great experience with American Legion baseball. Thank you. Columbia University head coach, Brett Beede, pride of Beverly, Massachusetts. I sat with him in a dugout at Tufts University. He took a 4-hour ride from his home to Virginia to watch a young man play American Legion baseball. His response to me, I cannot believe no one was actively recruiting this guy. Oh my goodness, what a hitter, what a young man. Wow. That's the head coach of a Division I Ivy League school that got in his car of his own accord to go and watch one student athlete. One. And his takeaway was, wow, that was good baseball. I cannot stress enough that the Junior Legion, the Senior Babe Ruth, the Senior Legion, the Junior Little League, those programs that allow participation with multiple age groups that are local. If we're listening, if we're tuning in and listening to college coaches talk about watching guys play meaningful games. Last night, Dave Lawn and Matt Tyner alluded to watching guys play in high school for state championships, Legion to play for state championships, meaningful, significant community baseball. That's what college coaches are looking for. That's the best advice. And I am promising you with every fiber of my being, and I mean this, this is factual information. American Legion baseball, their numbers are exploding. Maybe not in your neck of the woods, but I promise you their numbers are up. The biggest they've been in over the last 10 years. Ask yourself why. College coaches aren't out at these travel ball tournaments in the numbers that they used to be. Travel ball coaches, they really want to see guys compete for a purpose, for a community. They're looking at guys competing against older guys, younger guys, talented guys. They're getting an understanding of who these athletes are. Junior Legion, it's local. Junior Babe Ruth, it's local. You can be in the gym. You can be sprinting. You can be in your community. You can be getting somewhere. You can be moving ahead. These programs are coming back. It's time for parents to understand, and more importantly, it's time for student athletes to understand you control the process. It's not the other way around. And yes, there are a lot of great mentors in travel baseball. Yes, there are a lot of great programs at the older levels of travel baseball. A lot of great instructors, former professional players, former college players. But value for your value. I owned a small company and I made $45,000 a year when my children were in high school. I couldn't afford $15,000, $20,000 a year. I don't know how parents do that. I'm just trying to tell you, parents, you don't need to mortgage the farm to go travel. You can do it local. You can get workouts in. You can do all kinds of things in your community. If you need guidance, if you need help, Coach Serrano and myself, we make ourselves available. The college coaches, they make themselves available to us. We're going to be talking to admissions counselors, strength and conditioning coaches, financial advisors, financial aid advisors in colleges. We want to inform, educate, so that you as a parent, you as a student athlete are not overwhelmed. The other thing I want parents to understand before we hang up and before I disconnect is this. If your son is a Division III or Division II NCAA player, there is no shame in that game. If you feel that you want to become a Division I player, then you can reach out. It's okay. This is your life. This is your time. We need to understand, parents, this is our children's now. Don't let anyone rob your student athlete of their now. You can't go back when you're 25 and be 22 again, or 21 again, or 20 again. Can't do that. Save all of those valuable dollars and resources. Allow your sons to have moments and memories within their community. They're going to grow up and move away maybe. And they're going to look back on being able to compete and play with and against their local schools and their local friends. It's okay. But when you're a Division II and Division III and your son says, I think I can, it's okay to explore that. They might not have the opportunity, but it's okay to explore. I'm going to answer these last two questions. Of the 34 scholarships, how many will POs be on the 34? Barry, I want you to know that pitchers are going to probably make up more than 50% of college rosters, at least of the 34, as you're talking, I believe, on the Division I rosters. If I'm a college coach, Coach Serrano can correct me if I'm wrong, but if I have a 34-man roster, probably going to have at least 18 to 20 pitchers, because if injuries occur, I'm stuck. So, you're looking at POs being a significant portion, or two-way guys will become more in vogue. If your son was offered by many Division I schools but committed, is it okay in this time to talk to other schools that are reaching out? Schools that previously recruited him? The answer to that is yes, yes, yes. Because you have not signed a letter of intent, and you are in control. This is your student athlete's life. You reserve the right as a teenager or young adult to change your mind. Nobody is going to come down and slap your son's wrist with a ruler if they have a change of heart. It's okay as you grow to change. That's expected. You may have a different logistical preference. You may have a different academic preference. It's okay. Until you sign that letter of intent, you have the ability to change your mind. The real two-way player is about to be worth much more. Yes, that's very accurate. The real two-way player. Don't let anybody tell your son that he's a pitcher only at 12 through 16. I just don't agree with that. Let your son, or let your daughter, son be a two-way athlete as long as they can. If they're having fun, don't pay money to be a pitcher only if your son or daughter enjoy being a two-way player. There's no joy in Mudville as a 13 through 16-year-older not hitting and just, let's really get to the root of that. That's a money issue. I'd like to have 5 guys paying $10,000 as opposed to, 2 guys. So if I get 5 guys that are pitcher only paying money, that's what that is all about. Are walk-ons a thing of the past? At the Division I level, they will be. I don't think they will be with regard to college. That's the reason why I talk about NAIA, Division III, JUCO. But Division I rosters, with their hard cap, you won't have the ability to do these fall tryouts with walk-ons. So yes, walk-ons, for the most part, at the Division I level, will be a thing of the past. Why am I so strong on American Legion? American Legion baseball, there's some pride. Here's the number one takeaway with American Legion. quickly. You have to try out. You have to try out and you have to be good enough. Okay, in college, you have to try out. You have to be good enough. At what point do we want to understand that money cannot buy a roster spot? Money cannot buy an opportunity. The gear, the equipment, all this stuff, it's not going to get you anywhere. It doesn't make you cool. You might look good. You might be able to be a star on social media, but American Legion, you have to try out. You have to be one of the best 18. At least I think the roster sizes are 18. You got to be one of the best 18 in the 4 surrounding schools in your area to make it. And yes, I played American Legion, and so did my sons. And yes, they had to try out. American Legion is like high school. It's like college. It's like senior Babe Ruth. You have to try out and you have to make it, period. If it's not in your community, I guarantee you within the next 2 to 3 years, it probably will be making a comeback. Follow-up, college coaches are working through NCAA changes. Is it advantageous for our sons to reopen recruiting? That's an individual decision. All I can tell you is if no paperwork has been signed, there's no allegiance that's in writing. And if you feel the need or the desire to expand and open opportunities are always beneficial to the student athlete. Multiple opportunities create leverage. Leverage is creating, ultimately your scholarship. So yes, if you are not 100% sure in your choice, open it back up and go visit the schools and take a different look through a different lens at your college opportunities. And I think that is everybody. If anybody, now I do want to ask one question of Max. Max, just give me a thumbs up if you're still listening to me. And also Rick. So Rick has a younger son who's about to go through the recruiting process from Florida. I've watched his son develop. I feel very strongly that Rick is a mentor and he has taken the right approach. And by that, I mean he's worked on skill, he's worked on strength, he's worked on size, he's worked on speed. He's prepared his son to be evaluated by college coaches. Max is a young man that is an elite academic student. And I think we as parents lose sight of the role that academics will play, meaning the major, that's an individual decision. But academics are an integral part of college baseball. They show time management skills, daily discipline. You can't be a procrastinator in the classroom and not be a procrastinator in baseball. As Coach Serrano, Coach Masiello, Coach Stankiewicz, how you do anything is how you do everything. So academics have to play a role. You can't just think the baseball team. You have 3 full-time jobs when you're a college athlete. A college athlete has 3 full-time jobs, regardless of the level that they play at. There is school, there is athletics, and there is sleep. You have 3 full-time jobs, 168 hours that you have to dedicate to those 3 full-time jobs. So if you are not preparing your student athlete for what lies ahead at that level, there is going to be a wall that your son is going to, or daughter will run into. I want to thank everybody. Oh, I see we got one more request. All right. Mitch, go ahead, Mitch. If you have a question, Mitch, fire away. Mitch, come in, Mitch, if you're still with us, Mitch. Max, I just wanted to tell you that you're an elite academic. Make academics a big part of your decision. You'll thank the older version of yourself will thank yourself when you're 35 years old. American Legion has a history and a legacy that, I agree with that 1,000%. Next year, American Legion will celebrate 100 years. We can talk all we want about the toothpaste being out of the tube. Little League is dead. Legion is dead. Babe Ruth is dead. I even have parents that call athletes at younger ages in these organizations trash. Their word, not mine. I promise you that it is not the team. It is the athlete that makes the team. The athletes, the families, make the experience. It makes the team. I promise you, when you get to college, you are part of a team. The sooner you learn what it takes to be a part of a team, to know your role, excel in your role, accept your role, and celebrate teammates. I cannot stress that enough. That is the emphasis of college baseball. I promise you. Mitch, one last time before we sign off. Mitch, if you have a question, now's the time. I want to thank everybody for taking the time. I know a lot of families are going through a tough time. If you're 24 or 25 and there's a lot of changes that are affecting you, I'm happy to answer questions. Coach Serrano and I talk every Thursday evening during the fall and the off season with college coaches. We'll be happy to answer your questions. Happy to answer your direct messages. I encourage you to follow anything and everything to do with our YouTube channel. Help grow the channel. Create a resource that is free. It's free. It's free. It's free. Just watch the YouTube channel, subscribe, and be good. Thank you very much. I appreciate everybody's time. Have a great rest of your week. And hopefully everybody gets the calls that they're waiting for tomorrow or tonight at midnight and all day tomorrow. Thank you, guys.